Have you ever wondered why some people gather so much knowledge, yet make the worst decisions, while others, who seem simple and quiet, somehow stay safe and wise? This story might give you an answer and maybe even change the way you see wisdom. Sam, Vash, Jivan, and Bud were four young Brahmins who had grown up together since they were children. Their village was small, peaceful, and almost hidden between thick forests and quiet rivers. Life there was simple. People farmed, cooked, prayed, and supported one another. But the four boys had bigger dreams. Every morning, before the sun was even fully awake, they walked deep into the forest to learn from an old sage. The sage lived alone, in a tiny hut made from mud and straw, surrounded by old trees that whispered whenever the wind passed by. He wore simple clothes and walked slowly, but everyone who came to him felt a strange, warm calmness, like he carried the whole world inside his mind. And indeed, he was very wise. Sam, Vash, and G even loved showing off their talents to him. Sam repaired anything, no matter how broken. Villagers often joked that even if their pottery turned to dust, Sam would bring it back. Vash could heal wounds without touching them. A single murmur of his words and cuts closed, bruises faded, and pain disappeared. Jivan, the most ambitious of the three, could attach anything dead back to where it came from: leaves to trees, petals to flowers, even the feather of a bird that had fallen from its wing. They were proud, confident, sometimes even arrogant. But Bud tried. He listened harder than anyone. He practiced longer than anyone. But his mind worked differently. He wasn't slow, just thoughtful. He questioned everything. He needed more time to understand what others understood in a minute. The other three teased him every day. "Bud can talk to broken pots," Sam joked. "But the pots never talk back," Vash added. Jivan laughed the loudest. "At this rate, Bud's only skill will be sitting quietly." But Bud never complained. He actually enjoyed listening more than speaking. And he listened most carefully to the sage's teachings. One afternoon, after a lesson, Bud asked the sage, "Guruji, what is common sense?" The sage smiled gently. "Common sense is simply thinking before you act." Bud held onto those words with both hands, like something precious. Time passed, and the boys grew older. One warm morning, when the sky was glowing orange, the three talented boys decided they had learned all they could from the sage. "This village is too small for us now," Jivan announced proudly. "We need to see the world." Sam and Vash agreed immediately. They wanted fame, success, and admiration. They wanted people to look at them and say, "Those three are the most learned men in the land." At first, they didn't want Bud to come. "He will slow us down," Vash muttered. "He is useless," Sam whispered. But Jivan, though proud, had a soft spot for Bud. "He has no one else," he said. "Let him come. We are stronger, we must protect him." So the four packed food, water, blankets, and began their journey the next morning. As they walked away from the village, the sage stood at the forest's edge and watched them. "My children," he said, "remember, a wise man thinks before he acts." The three repeated the words quickly, almost carelessly. Bud repeated them slowly, carefully, as if carving the words into his heart. They set off. Birds sang above them, the forest floor glowed with sunlight, and the air smelled of earth and leaves. For hours they walked, laughing, arguing, sharing stories. By noon, they were hungry and tired. "Let us rest here," Sam said, pointing to a shady spot beside a large flat rock. As they settled down, Bud noticed something on the ground nearby, a heap of bones. "What is that?" Bud asked, stepping closer. Jeevan rolled his eyes. "Bud, it's just bones. Don't be afraid." But Sam knelt beside the pile and examined it like a treasure. "These are lion bones," he said. "I can tell just by the shape." A dangerous excitement filled his voice. "What if I rebuild it?" Sam said. "Right now in front of you." Bud felt something twist in his stomach. A strange, cold feeling. A warning. But he said nothing yet. Without waiting, Sam began chanting. His voice echoed through the forest. A warm, glowing light surrounded the bones, and slowly, they shifted, changed, and locked together. Within seconds, a perfect skeleton stood before them. Vash stepped forward immediately. "That was impressive," he said, "but watch what I can do." His chanting was louder, deeper. Flesh grew over the bones, thick muscles, skin, fur, claws, sharp teeth. It was no longer a skeleton. It was a real lion, lying still on the ground, as if asleep. Bud backed away. His heart hammered against his chest. "Enough," he whispered. "Let us leave it." But Jeevan laughed. "Leave it when I can bring it to life." He raised his hands and looked at Sam and Vash. "This will be the greatest proof of my skill." The forest suddenly felt too quiet. Even the wind stopped. Bud stepped forward, voice shaking, but strong. "Please, don't do this. Think before you act. A living lion is not a toy. Skills are not for showing off." But the three burst into laughter. "Bud, you know nothing," Vash said. "You have no magic," Sam added. "You're just afraid," Jeevan finished. Bud knew there was no way to stop them now. So he did the only thing he could. He climbed a nearby tree. "Call me a coward," Bud said softly, "but if something happens, I want to live." The moment his feet reached a strong branch, Jeevan began chanting. The light flashed. The lion opened its eyes. At first, it didn't move. Its chest slowly rose and fell. Its eyes glowed like burning amber. Then it lifted its head. And then, a roar ripped through the forest, shaking the branches and sending birds flying in panic. The three boys froze. "Run!" Sam screamed, but his legs wouldn't move. The lion leapt. Claws slashed. Teeth tore. The forest filled with the desperate cries of the boys who had been so proud just moments before. From the tree, Bud sobbed silently. He wanted to help, but he knew he couldn't fight a lion with his bare hands. Within minutes, it was over. The lion, satisfied, walked away slowly, disappearing between the trees. Bud waited. 5 minutes. 10. 15. Only when his shaking stopped did he climb down. He kneeled beside what was left of his friend's bones scattered on the ground, just as they had found the lion. He closed his eyes and whispered, "If only you had remembered Guruji's words." Bud gathered stones and built a small mound over their remains. He whispered a prayer for each of them: Sam, Vash, Jivan, boys he had grown up with, laughed with, learned with. When he returned to the village, the sage was waiting. The old man looked at Bud's empty hands, his tired face, and the sadness in his eyes. "You have seen something terrible," the sage said gently. Bud nodded. "Guruji, I didn't have their skills. I couldn't heal, or rebuild, or bring anything to life. But I remembered your teaching. And that saved me." The sage placed a hand on Bud's shoulder, pride shining in his eyes. "My child," he said, "wisdom is the greatest skill. You have what they lack, the ability to think before you act. That is why you returned." Years passed. Bud grew older, kinder, and wiser. People from faraway villages came to him not for magic, not for special powers, but for advice, for guidance, for comforting words. Bud became known across the land not as the boy with no talent, but as the man of true wisdom. And whenever someone asked him how he learned so much, Bud always gave the same gentle answer: "I simply learned to think before I act."